welcome to another episode of ohmTown's Daily News Show. Hello, I'm Mayor Watt. I run that site. I keep seemingly sounding like Master Blaster from Bartertown. Anyway, I guess just Master, because Blaster was the big guy. Okay, so what is ohmTown? You know, it's kind of a casual day today. I don't know what's overcoming me here. I'm just kind of relaxing. So today I got a new Beacon Mix Create, Beacon Mix Create, and the Beacon mic, and I swapped out my equipment pretty quick because I had meetings all day, and this is what I sound like with the Beacon mic and the Mix Create controlling everything instead of a Blue Spark XL, I think it's called, or XL, which is a pretty nice mic, and a Go XLR. I got rid of it, and I'm down to just 2 USB-C cables instead of power and XLR cable and a USB cable to control it, and or a couple of other things. So yeah, I'm down to, I've actually lightened the desktop up quite a bit, which is saying something considering how many monitors and lights and speakers and whatnot is all going on here. So hopefully the lighting is better, the contrast is better. I don't know. Let me pull my chat down into my window so I can see you all. I want to thank you all for coming by and saying hi. Really appreciate it. That said, what is ohmTown? So ohmTown is a news aggregator. It's been going through some rough times as I approached the limit of my particular configuration. And so I've updated it a bit, changed some things, and disabled something. You might notice it, but I'm going to be reintroducing them now that the bug has been found. It wasn't really a bug. It was a hardware software incompatibility, apparently. That's basically what I could surmise, and we hopefully resolved it. We'll see if that actually is the reality of it. But my news aggregator reaches out and grabs a whole bunch of information and throws its title and a little snippet of an article into various categories. Those categories are create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. Oh, I hope this sounds good. I mean, I heard myself in the mix, but I hope that you guys, hope you people, I hope you citizens of ohmTown and Twitch, like this audio better than the previous audio. Okay, gosh, I'm saying a lot. I'm really sorry, folks. I'm a little scatterbrained today. So create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology are the 6 categories, but under them are shows. A storybook world called Aerith that connects to every other world in the Aerith Omniverse. When you become a citizen of ohmTown and you are also interested in joining Aerith, a channel about creative writing, world building, 3D modeling, and things like that, you get a planet, and that planet is connected to Aerith, which is known as the Gate World. It has a bunch of little gates where ley lines cross over each other, and it opens a portal to another world. Could even be another universe. But in the Omniverse of Aerith, I have a massive world Omniverse that has worlds, planets, right? Solar systems, galaxies, everything. in its cosmos. I think it's pretty neat. You get a planet. All you have to do is ask for it. Topology and everything. Specifications about it. You could have a whole solar system. But there's a bunch of other channels. Those channels number 50. I'd like to bring all 50 of them to Twitch and have conversations about niche communities that I think that are interesting. Some of them are educational. Some of them are about drinking. Some of them are about copyright and intellectual property or law, but a lot of them are about tech, from watches to, hey, this is pretty cool, I want it. As long as it's tech. Pretty neat, right? I thought so. So I opened it up to everybody at the beginning of this year, 2022. Since then, for the last 68 days, right? I've been doing a stream every day, 6 p.m. Today's is going to be another eclectic hot mess, maybe burning dumpster fire of news. I don't know what you want to call it, but it is what it is, and I'm here to tell you about them, but not in great detail. I really want you to go over to the site that they're sourced from and read all about it there. Let's get on with the show. This first... Oh no, hold on a second. I might have a problem. Nope, I don't. Let me see. I'm going to... No, that's why. I'm going to reset this and see if I can grab it from another place. Okay, we're going to have to move on from this one. Anyway, hit by sanctions, Russia accuses U.S. of economic war. This particular post broke because it's in the wrong section, and it'll be some work to try and locate it. Maybe I can right here while I'm streaming. Nothing says this is how the sausage is made, like administrative functions while I'm streaming. Well, at any rate, let's keep moving. This next article is in the continuity report, and continuity reports about movies. And we talk about them, tear them apart, all the things that's wrong, right? And the things that are pretty cool about them. It's all about just enjoying the movie, really. So this is ObiWan Kenobi, trailer breakdown. Young Luke, Grand Inquisitor, a new planet, and more. If you don't want to get hit by spoilers periodically, I wouldn't go into the continuity report channel. That is where hopes and dreams of not being spoiled go to die. So this is an article over at Variety by Zach Sharf, and it's about upcoming... I think it's just a movie, right? I mean, it's supposed to be... I thought that there was talk of a show. Yes, ObiWan Kenobi is Disney Plus's third Star Wars series, following The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and now ObiWan Kenobi. Interesting. Star Wars fans have been waiting nearly 17 years for Ewan McGregor to return to the franchise as Obi-Wan Kenobi. 17 years? It's been 17 years? That can't be right. That can't be right. 17 years? Okay, I can't look. I don't want it confirmed. Well, it's coming to Disney Plus. So if you haven't subscribed to Disney anything, subscribe to that. You get all of Star Wars, MCU, a whole lot more. And your kids will love you if you have kids. So I guess we're going back to Tatooine. I don't know how much I really do want to spoil. Oh my gosh. Ewan McGregor's in it. What? Just kidding. I know. Anyway. Go over to Variety and read the article from Zach Sharf. I don't want to spoil it. I'll let him spoil it for you. I'm just the messenger. So the next article is in the Daily News Show. Daily News Show is this show. We talk about a broad swath of topics in the Daily News Show. It's ohmTown's Daily News Show, to be specific. This is a group urges Biden to invoke Defense Production Act to counter Putin and accelerate green transition. It says a renewable energy future, the group wrote, is a peaceful and ultimately more prosperous one. I'm going to click this link. And this is a commondreams.org article. It's written by Andrea Germanos. And it says a coalition of over 200 groups on Wednesday called on President Joe Biden to leverage his authority under the Defense Production Act to simultaneously produce alternatives to fossil fuels, fight the climate emergency, combat Putin's stranglehold on the world's energy economy, and support the transition to a renewable and just economy. And I'm going to let you go over to this article and read it, but my particular perspective on this is that while this is, and I am coming from a position where I have been, it's funny because I preface everything with, look, I understand the minutia of this and that. I understand it. But the compassionate, sympathetic, empathetic person, human being inside me does not want to accept, oh, that's just the way the world is, right? That's how I preface a lot of my conversations about society. And then it comes to this, where I see both sides of it, and I just feel compelled to be devil's advocate, not in the biblical devil's advocate. That's anyway. So in this particular instance, I can't support this wholeheartedly because a lot of green tech is indefensible. It can exist in a world, in a just economy, in a just world, in a world where there is none of what's going on between Russia and Ukraine. And in that world, which is, unless there is a quantum shift, a defining moment where we all as humanity bond together against a common foe, or we get over our fear and fighting to not band around a common foe, but a common dream, a unifying event that says the whole world can prosper together instead of having to step on somebody else just for a cup of water. That is the world that I want to be in. But right now, we're talking about Russia invading Ukraine, and the things that I have seen you don't want to see. But at the same time, I can't sit there and say, you know what we need? We need to shift away from oil, which is defensible just as much, if not better, than nuclear power. Would we want to shift away from that, something defensible, to something that in every single instance of its invention, I can punch a hole in why it is not a defensible solution for power, for electricity, for renewable energy? Okay, if you want to say solar cells, solar panels, solar arrays of some kind, it's easily done in by a BB gun. If you want to say wind energy, all it takes is to throw a blade out of balance and the thing will tear itself apart. You shoot it with a gun and it will throw itself out of balance, maybe a little more than a gun. So we're going to have to build them more robust. The more robust they are, the less efficient they are. It has to be a balance here. Geothermal, all it takes is one bomb, done. And that's not to say that it can't happen against and by bomb, I mean something in the vicinity, not directly on it, but something in the vicinity. Anything that disrupts the flow of that heat from the exchange unit of a geothermal plant, done. And it could be as simple as just rattling the pipes. So I can't support that. I can say let's move towards it, but we in times of struggle, right? There's fighting right now that's threatening to drag the world into it. We've been there twice before. So, in this particular instance, it isn't a just economy, and it isn't something that's defensible. And while it will fight, and I'm a proponent of it, I'm all for it. You know, I want a wind generator right outside my house because wind whips around my house like crazy, and I think that it would generate a ton of energy, and maybe I could actually pull myself off the grid. I would love to, but it isn't something that I think that the rest of the world can safely do at a time where you've got one country that's invading it and already has, I'm sure, designs on oozing into other countries that are nearby because the band needs to be put back together in somebody's mind. Let's continue on. The next article is in the Word and Law. And it's Russian army hasn't succeeded in conquering Ukraine, but it has put the IPO market on ice. So what's this all about? The Post, Russian army hasn't succeeded in conquering Ukraine, but has put the IPO market on ice is over on above the law. So let's click that link. And this article is written by John Shazar. And like I said, I don't read all of this beforehand. I am running through it, and then I give my particular context from what I've consumed. So let's see. From relatively closed, we move to completely closed. Business market in Europe withdrew equity capital market deals totaling 634.31 million in February, up from 140. That's interesting. Russian authorities will keep the Moscow stock market largely closed for a fifth straight day as they continue to shield local shares from potentially severe selling pressure. Yeah, it kind of happens when a country invades another country. The stock market tends to take a hit. Well, if you shut it down, I guess that's the cooling off period. Pumping the brakes, so to speak. But why would anybody stay invested if they fear that their country is imploding? And it's not just Russian stocks. Correct. The whole world is shifting money around, and either they are not risk averse and they're investing in materials that they think that they can get at a very deep discount and hope that it's going to go back up. I mean, it's happened before. It happened in the United States. People made a bundle investing in the banks that were at ultra low prices because they thought that the banking system was going to collapse and there was too much risk. Well, I can tell you, not every bank needed those loans. They all took them, though, and then immediately gave them back. If only I could invest. But you can't. Not all the time. Anyway, but no, they will touch Russian ones at the right price. The dollar stuff is trading at a very distressed level. Its sellers are wanting to get rid of it at any price, and there are buyers willing to pick it up. Oh, look, they're actually talking about exactly what I said. So this article is kind of interesting because it's kind of scrolling through the actions of various people in the stock market. But it starts out with we have tried to drive home the seriousness of what's going on in Ukraine at the moment, where hundreds of thousands are fleeing from Russian targeted homes. Yeah, this stuff is real. There was another streamer that I was watching that said, I don't know why anybody watches that stuff, And why does the news report somebody getting blown up? And I said, it's because it's the reality and people need to see it lest they are gaslit that there's nothing going on anywhere. Well, in absolute power control over the media, that's exactly what happens. And from what I understand, in the infecting country, I guess, I don't know. In Russia, they're streaming things like everything is hunky-dory. But, the people that are thinking critically know better. No, there's nothing normal about this. This is an invasion of a country. Just like every other country has issues internally, and they were being addressed. Well, anyway, if you think you can make a buck, invest. You might be able to save a company and make a buck in the process. Give it a shot. I'm not your financial advisor. Remember what risk is. The next article is in the Word and Law. Kraken antics earned Sidney Powell attorney discipline action. So it says, it says the find out is a bitch. That's funny. Okay, so if you've never heard of this person, it's an article, by the way, over at Above the Law, written by Liz Dye. Has a picture of Sidney Powell. She's kind of meme referred to as Kraken lawyer because she was going to release the Kraken. Well, cracking me up. Got some good news and some bad news yesterday, according to this article. On the plus side, Justice Cohen of New York dismissed the voting technology company Smartmatic's defamation claims against Powell and her big lie fellow traveler Jeanine Pirro in the larger case against Rudy Giuliani, Fox News, and host Lou Dobbs and Maria Bartiromo. Congrats, Sid. I wonder why. I'm going to have to look into that. I am going to save this as a separate article for me to read later. On the less plus side, the Texas Commission for Law Discipline just sued Powell in the District Court of Dallas, Texas, seeking discovery pursuant to complaints filed by multiple lawyers and Michigan's governor, attorney general, and secretary of state. Quote, the acts and omissions of respondent is hereinafter alleged constitute professional misconduct. Well, I guess she's on the road to... I thought she was already disbarred, but maybe not. Because I kind of lost touch with this. I know stuff is going on, but there's so much noise from the signal. Or I should say the noise is the signal. Things are kind of wacky, opposite world. There's so much information about this, like all the time, that we know what's going to end up happening, and good justice needs to be served. So let's continue on with this next article, because you can go over to ohmTown and click the link, or in my chat, or in the description, wherever it might be. The Word in Law, that's the channel that the next article is in. Elite firm blows Kravitz salary scale out of the water. So this is another article over on Above the Law, and talks about what's been happening with law firms, that they are paying people quite a bit of money nowadays. So let's click this link. Who says bigger is better? This elite boutique law firm is proving they're even better than big law, at least when it comes to that all-important compensation scale. So, goodness. Litigation powerhouse Kellogg Hansen announced raises, and as per their custom, they are way above market. It isn't much of a surprise. The firm's base compensation ranges were already top of the big law scale, we're talking $30,000 to $70,000 more. So how much bigger? First years are rolling in at $255,000. Year 6, $420,000. The raises are retroactive to January 1st, and there's a memo. My goodness. Well, let's just see. Wondering if the grass is greener on the in-house side. They've got a in-house compensation survey report. And there's another one that I'm going to have to save. Well, it's going to be an interesting set of links to read after this. So if you're an attorney, let me post that link so that you can go there. So if you're an attorney and you get accepted by this law firm, you can start out at $255,000. Start out. I have made huge mistakes. Not really. Anyways, the next article, pardon me one second. The next article is in the Hatch Ideas channel. This is a business show. Talks about businesses from end to end. Probably trending on a focus of entrepreneurship and strategic management, intellectual property, things like that. Haven't launched it yet as a channel, but it is one that I want to launch. Might be a weekend show, Saturday and Sunday for an hour. The next title in Hatch Ideas channel is, the next article in the Hatch Ideas channel is, "You don't need anyone's approval to launch," according to these co-CEO Nicole Centeno and Elise Densborn of Splendid Spoon discuss what it takes to start and grow a business. So this is an article over in Entrepreneur, and it's written by an Entrepreneur staff. So I'm not sure who all was involved, but it says it's an ongoing series where they share advice and insights from people in the startup business world. And they ask questions like, who are you and what's your business? What inspired you to create the business? What's been your biggest challenge during the pandemic and how did you pivot to overcome it? Says the pandemic, Elise Densborn, one of the two that are being interviewed. The pandemic carried with it a new weight of leadership. Solving an operational problem is easier in many ways than the profound responsibility required to lead a team remotely through a period that challenged the health and safety of our people and our families. True. We got creative with our togetherness, like drawing animals with hot sauce. Okay. Interesting. Our biggest challenge was one of endurance and prioritization. How to keep the business going while pausing our Series B capital raise and balancing the needs of a newborn. Because one of the two had a baby. March 13th, 2020. Wow. That is an interesting time to start raising a baby. So they go into kind of the nuts and bolts about their business, and they ask questions as flowery as, what does entrepreneur mean to you? You can get a pretty broad sample of definition for entrepreneur, so I suppose that's why they asked it. If you're curious about this, just click the link and head on over. That would be great. The next article is about an Apple product. It's in the Smack Talk channel, which is all about Apple and its competitors. The title is More Expensive iPhone SE Still Expected to See Strong Demand Because of 5G. Despite costing a bit more than its predecessor, the new iPhone SE is predicted to sell well around the world, where price-sensitive users have been waiting for 5G. Apple's new iPhone SE launched at the March 8th event, which was yesterday, by the way. And it's about $30 more expensive. So I didn't even bring it up during yesterday's show, except for a couple of things. I think a couple of products, but I didn't bring it up, not because I didn't know about it. I watched it in 3 different places, as a matter of fact, which was interesting. But the product, I mean, it's massive, right? So the iMac, 27-inch iMac is being phased out, and not in its place, but kind of like a bully of a piece of tech. They launch the Mac Mini Studio, I think it's called. I've forgotten it already. But when it's all decked out, it's an $8,000 triple the height, like thick Mac Mini. It's like that thick. Big chunk of aluminum, sucks air from the bottom and blows it out of the back. Yeah, just huge. And I want this so bad. Maybe I mentioned it in the show after all. I'm starting to think that I mentioned it. But anyway, it's a beast. And I want the high-end one. And then I can't get rid of all of this. This is other work as well. But anyway, things are going up in price, I suppose. And the iPhone SE is one of them. Counterpoint research analyst described the difference as a slight surprise, but based on its sales data for 2020, iPhone SE doesn't expect it to make too great of a difference over the long term. Let's click the link before I do that. Throw this in chat, and then we'll go over. This is an article written by William Gallagher for Apple Insider. And I think this phone is great. I've noodled around with it, for the right person and the right, I guess just for the right person, this fits in every way. They don't need high power, but it's quite capable. There isn't anything that it can't do that the higher end ones can do any better in terms of software, really. At least not for the average person using it. And it's reasonably priced. The flagship ones are $1,400. So this one actually is pretty nice. And if it wasn't for me just being really into tech, I would probably be using an iPhone SE. I just want the green one. I want that green. So this next article is over in the Mobile channel, and it's the best unique luggage that's impossible to miss at baggage claim. I don't know about you, but every bag I've ever had is probably dark. So it's a black bag, and everybody else has a black bag, and you have to tie something on or clip something into it, or paint your name or initial or something. And it's not like you can have anything really popular because somebody else will do it. So you can't just put like an air tag on there. Anyway, the article says, red-eye flights are the worst. Time after time, we convince ourselves that we can somehow sleep 5.5 hours in the middle of the night while sitting upright between a frat bro guffawing over Anchorman 2 and a 4-year-old screaming because they have an ear infection. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Takes a village. Want a bag that truly stands out in a sea of black carry-ons? Look at that. That's funny. Try one of these, from a totally custom suitcase to a bright neon roller bag. That's pretty neat. So this article is over in Vice.com. It says recommended by Vice. It It's a section called Rec Room, and it's by the Rec Room staff. And it has a picture of a bunch of bags, and there's ads and stuff on here, it looks like. But they talk about various bags, but and even suitcases. But here's the problem with any of this stuff. Oh wow, that one would be, yeah. What I'm showing to everybody else, if you're on the podcast, you won't see it, but it's a transparent bag, luggage case, actually. And it says, "Take a look, we dare you." Yeah, throw all your items in there and go through. It says X-ray 21-inch hard side spinner carry-on case. And it's transparent. That'd be funny. I'd probably line it with something and then end up on a no-fly list. For the croissant and champagne crowd, aviator carry-on, $271 at Paravel. Interesting. Wow, they have a crazy broad array of bags. And so I'm going to stop right there for this article. I want you to go over to Vice. That's really why I even put all of this together. I built the site so that it visits the source, and I want you to go over to ohmTown, click on Visit the Source. We'll be activating the gamification and voting elements later. Part of my troubleshooting, I still have it disabled. And I guess today's word of the day, is Russia. We're continuing this whole thing. As much as I want to pull myself away from it, it's sociological. And it's a real world event that's happening in real time. So while we can kind of skirt our way away from it and not get too deep into it, it's still relevant to business, technology, and society. And that's what we're here to talk about. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Pepsi flee Russia. And I saw a video of lines of Russians trying to get to McDonald's because it's vacating the premises. It has left the building along with Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, and a bunch of others. Basically, the whole world is against this action in Ukraine. McDonald's Corporation and Coca-Cola have announced they will stop operating in Russia in response to the country's invasion of Ukraine, adding to a list of big global, companies. This article is written by Christian Bustos for Entrepreneur, and has a pretty cool picture. That's basically wherever they took this picture is really nice. The neighborhood must be nice. Has McCafe and McDrive, and I don't know what that other one is. But the sign is really nice, like wood and deep green. I'd say a British racing green, but it's not glossy enough for me to be that. Anyway, as reported by CNN Business, McDonald's and Coca-Cola have decided to stop selling their products in Russia after criticism on social media about these and other companies' silence, among them PepsiCo, about matters in the region. So they both bowed out. But it's really about social pressures. I mean, unless, and I want to stop myself from saying companies. Okay, so the companies, yes, but it's the people inside the companies that need to be spoken about, not the companies. The companies don't exist. It's a figment of our imagination that they are an entity of anything other than the people that are in them. Yes, I understand that business formation gives them literally citizenship. They are an entity. But they are not living, and they can't be jailed. They can only be financially fined and hobbled in various ways, but it's the people that should be commended or called out for their crap. So, I would rather talk about the people that are making the decisions, not just McDonald's. So-and-so from McDonald's. So it says, in this particular instance, they actually do. But it says, DiNapoli said in a statement, companies like McDonald's and PepsiCo, which have a large footprint in Russia, need to consider whether doing business in Russia is worth the risk during this extraordinarily volatile time. Yeah, well, a lot of people think that it isn't worth the risk, and they were just going about their business in Ukraine. So this article goes into greater detail about it. So after feeling pressure, McDonald's CEO Chris Kempczewski, I can't pronounce his last name. And I'm too frazzled today to concentrate on it, I guess. Said in a statement, McDonald's has decided to temporarily close all our restaurants in Russia and pause all operations in the market. An investor document revealed that the fast food chain had 847 locations in the country by December last year, 84% operated by the company. Well, I wonder, wow, most of them were in Russia. Some of them are in Ukraine. 62,000 people. Sad. Whoa. 1 second. Have to play catch up to where I was. But let's go on to the next article. The next article is in the Mobile channel, introducing Cryptoland, Motherboards' new documentary series about all things crypto. This will be interesting. And if you are interested in this kind of stuff, then go and watch it. Motherboard has been, and read it. Motherboard has been trying to make a documentary about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency off and on for nearly a decade. I've known about Bitcoin since before it was trading. Like, I saw it land. There's probably a wallet out there with a couple of Bitcoin on it from me that I don't know where it is, and I will never be able to find it. But they never did anything about it over at Cryptoland or at Motherboard, so now they're starting it up, or they finished it. Motherboard Tech by Vice, introducing Cryptoland, Motherboard's new documentary series about all things crypto. Pardon me. This article is written by Jason Kobler. I'm not sure. I guess by Jordan Pearson as well. With our colleagues at Vice News, we shot all over the world to find out about cryptocurrency is doing in our culture, politics, economy, society, the planet, and physical infrastructure. Yeah. Well, there you have it. We filmed at Bitcoin 2013, back when one Bitcoin was worth $118. Yeah. I should have stayed in it. But I figured what was going to happen was government was going to not accept Bitcoin in any real way. And to this day, I still think that the only reason Bitcoin has any value is because it's pegged to the US dollar and it has no intrinsic value. It's not secured by anything, not even itself. And it was created out of a vacuum. It has no provenance. It exists as a vehicle to acquire perhaps goods and services. You know, people have bought pizzas with it, but it's because it had a value in US dollars or in some other accepted currency. Still to this day, I believe it. And that's the reason why I didn't ever stay in crypto. But these guys did a documentary about it. So go and check it out if you want to find out about the origin of it. I'm sure it's in there. If you want to find out what they do. Some people have purchased land and built power plants so that they could power their mining rigs. Yeah. So let's go on. The next article is in the Smack Talk channel. It says, Apple's MLB deal is good for Apple TV Plus, but making a bad situation worse for baseball fans. At today's Apple event, Apple rolled out the long-rumored deal it signed with Major League Baseball, but in a time where it is harder For local fans to watch their team play, this is making the situation worse and not better. As I write this, MLB is still shut down after its COVID-impacted 2021 run and a shortened 2020 campaign. Making a long story short, the owners decided that they wanted to negotiate with the players' union with training shut down, and this will, in all likelihood, take a big chunk out of the start of the season, as spring training has not even started yet. And yet on Tuesday, Apple announced this deal. Let me throw this in chat. Man, I had better hurry up. Boink. So I'm not really sure. Okay, so this is an article by Mike Wurtel, I think it is, or Wurtle. Might be Worthel. I'm really sorry there, Mike. Let's see. So I'm not sure why this will have any bearing on anything. Baseball watching and streaming is complex. No, it's not. If you want to watch it, you watch it. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm not invested in sports that I think any means of gaining access to it is awesome. And let's see. I don't know what year it all started, but MLB viewing is fragmented pretty badly. Mostly gone are the days of baseball being broadcast on your local channel. Well, this isn't making anybody's day worse. In fact, it's opening up opportunity to other people to see it. The problem really is if you want to complain about this, it's the MLB that's fracturing it all up and creating tranches of profitability. They are saying to one company, yeah, here, and then to another, they're licensing it over there, and to a third, they're licensing these games over in this region. I don't know. I don't understand this. So, I mean, if you want to really get down to the brass tacks of it, MLB needs to broadcast everything and license it to everybody at all times so that all you have to do is pay a fee. Oh, that's exactly what happens. Oh, well, if MLB wants everybody to access it, they'll lower the rate so that everybody can license it. That's the source of the problem, profiteering. But you're never going to change the mind of anybody in business unless suddenly they have a crisis of conscience, which, when you're talking about that level of money, good luck finding it. So the next article is in Smack Talk. Yesterday, Apple introduced its last chip of the M1 family with the M1 Ultra processor. It is a beast. Here's why equipping Apple's M1 Ultra adds an extra 2 pounds to the Mac Studio. Let's click this link. It's over at 9to5Mac. And I got a lot of articles. It's written by Jose Adorno. M1 Ultra, they have the same 370 watt power supply, and additional weight is due to M1 Ultra having a larger copper thermal. Oh my gosh. A large copper thermal module, whereas the M1 Max has an aluminum heatsink. By the way, so this M1 Ultra, if you didn't watch the presentation, you should. It's quite interesting. It's entertaining, it's engaging, and you can really, you'll like it. But the M1 Ultra is basically two chips merged together along what amounts to a data backplane. They fused two chips together. The two chips have all of the same number of processors, so inside it, right? Various cores, and now there's double them. Still uses the same power, but it's generating more heat, so they switch it over to because it's two of them at once, communicating at almost instantaneous speeds, generating a ton of heat. Throw it on a copper cooler and it'll wick it away, but I still think that it needs to go water. I want a liquid cooled processor like this, not I don't want just a thermal block. Over time, that heat sink is not going to survive constant running, and I don't want to have to ever take my device in. It's too much downtime. I'm always doing something. If I'm unconscious, asleep, that's about the only time. Kind of like computers. The only secure computer is unplugged, sitting in a closet. That's me. I'm always doing something online, reading something, working on something, unless I'm unconscious. So the M1 Ultra has a 20-core CPU that offers 16 high-performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. With a 32-core neural engine, it can make 22 trillion operations per second. And with a 64-core GPU, it's 8 times faster GPU than the M1 introduced in 2020. Not only that, but the M1 Ultra was able to beat the 28-core Intel Mac Pro in its Geekbench score. And that I read about earlier in a different place. But so, did I order a Mac Studio with the M1 Ultra? No. It's $8,000. I can't justify $8,000 for a desktop. For a server, sure. Anyway, go over to 9to5Mac and read that article. Dun, dun, dun. The next article is in the Mobile channel. New technology enables unprecedented glimpse inside single brain cells. Salk Institute researchers have developed a new genomic technology to simultaneously analyze the DNA, RNA, and chromatin, a combination of DNA and protein, from a single cell. The method, which took 5 years to develop, is an important step forward for large collaborations where multiple teams are working simultaneously to classify thousands of new cell types. Why do we have so many cell types? Rhetorical question. We are a complex biological being. Okay, so this article is over at phys.org, written by Salk Institute. I guess everybody wrote one letter. This multimodal platform is going to be useful by providing a comprehensive database that can be used by the groups trying to integrate their single modality data, says Joseph Ecker, director of the Genomic Analysis Laboratory at Salk, at the Salk International Council Chair in Genetics and Howard Hughes Medical Institute investigator. Wow. This new information can also inform and guide future cell type classification. Interesting. This will be an interesting read. The new method is called SNMCAT-Seq, S-E-Q. So, SNMCAT-SEQ. Scientists use biomarkers to tag DNA, RNA, and chromatin without removing them from the cell. This allowed the researchers to measure all 3 types of molecular information at the same time, in the same cell. The scientists then use this method to identify 63 cell types in the frontal cortex region of the human brain and benchmarked the efficacy of computational methods for integrating multiple single-cell technologies. Well, that's awesome. That is really cool. So go over to this article and take a look at it at phys.org. New technology enables unprecedented glimpse inside single brain cells. I don't think there's a hyphen in there, single brain. The next article is in the Mobile channel. Europium and Light, an innovative platform for quantum computers and communication. The ability to interact with light provides important functionalities for quantum systems, such as communicating over large distances, a key ability for future quantum computers. However, it's very difficult to find a material that can fully exploit the quantum properties of light. A research team from CNRS and L'Université de Strasbourg, with support from Chimie, Paris Tech-PSL, and in collaboration with a German team from KIT, has demonstrated the potential of a new material based on rare earths as a photonic quantum system. This is going to be outside my scope of expertise, but it's an article over on phys.org by CNRS. And it says, while quantum technologies promise a revolution in the future, they still remain complex to put in place. Yeah. For the most part, quantum computers basically do one function, consume a bunch of data, and then spit out a single result based on the mathematic formula that's injected into its system. And by injected, I mean it's designed, programmed. And from my understanding, again, this is me on the outside looking in, the code is always custom code. It isn't like they've got a calculator, essentially. And it takes a lot of time to do an experiment. I'm sure times will change, and we'll all end up with a quantum computer sitting on our desk. And maybe John Teeter will not have to come back to get this old computer. I know why he came back for that particular computer. But anyway, whole internet mythos there. Just do a search for John Teeter, Titor. The next article is in Smack Talk. Which upgrades are worth it for the Mac Studio? Everything that you can afford without going into debt. That is what I say. That's what I tell people. That's what I think is responsible. But if you think that you need it and you can pay it off quickly, then put everything on it. It's only $8,000, right? Who needs 20 car payments? This particular article, which upgrades are worth it for the Mac Studio, is written for AppleInsider.com by William Gallagher. And it's going to go through all of the options, right? So it has 4 Thunderbolt ports and Wi-Fi and wired internet access, or wired networking, sorry, not just internet access. And the thing only comes with a power cord. So it's it and the power cord. You have to buy your own keyboard, mouse, display, or displays. And it's a beast of a device. So it starts out reasonably enough, I think, at $1,500. But then shoots to the moon. Oh, it's a $1,900. It's $2,000. We might as well just round up. It's $1,999 for crying out loud. But that's with an M1 Max. But let's continue on. I'm running really late for this show. The version with a 48-core GPU is $1,400 more than the base price, bringing the Mac Studio with it to $3,799, and the 64-core pardon me, I had to cough. The 64-core GPU is priced at $4,800. Okay, I've got to continue on. This next article is Smack Talk. Apple's on the hook for $85 million over 7 years for MLB streaming. I'm not sure why this article has the graphics in it. I don't normally do that. But this is an Apple Insider article written by Mike Wortell, I think it is. It might be Wortell. Let me say it that way. Mike, let me know if it's incorrect. Did I put any of the articles in there? All right. Okay, so let me do that. I'm really sorry, folks. Done. And done. And done. Let's see. So Apple's deal with Major League Baseball announced at the Apple event. on Tuesday as part of a $115 million deal between it, NBC Sports, and Apple. The report also claims that the national deals with all broadcasters and streamers is $1.96 billion for the 2022 season, split among 30 teams. And this is what I was talking about. This is basically funding the whole enterprise. I mean, they make all kinds of licensing deals, and that's what the whole thing is about. It's your entertainment, but they're licensing that entertainment to countless places to generate revenue for the organization. Anyway, I mentioned it earlier, something similar to this. So. Anyway, because somebody was saying that Apple purchasing the licensing firm MLB is going to make it more difficult, more hurting the situation. No, it's not. It's funding it and opening up opportunity for further growth into a market of people that are very capable of paying for stuff. So this next article is in Smack Talk because it's a competitor to Apple. Amazon under fire for alleged obstruction of Congress. Amazon's been flagged by the House Judiciary Committee for potential criminal obstruction of Congress, because it allegedly refused to provide information as part of the antitrust probe. Let's click this link. This article is written by Mike Peterson. I keep thinking that I know Mike Peterson personally, but I just don't know anymore. Amazon's been flagged by the House Judiciary Committee. Investigation of Amazon for the alleged criminal obstruction in a letter to U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland. Democratic and Republican lawmakers claim that Amazon refused to provide information that the lawmakers were seeking as part of an antitrust probe into Amazon's competitive practices. It just seems at some point you become so big that the monsters you were fighting against become you. There's no factual basis for this, as demonstrated in the huge volume of information we've provided over several years of good faith cooperation with this investigation, Amazon said in a statement. Well, you fight the good fight and you have a good legal defense, and I hope that justice prevails. So the next article is in the Smack Talk channel. The folks over at Apple Insider compared Apple Silicon M1 versus M1 Pro versus M1 Max versus M1 Ultra. And we're going to click the link and just pull you over to their site. Mike Peterson, again, is the author of this article, and he has the press slide, basically. And this is what I was talking about. So the M1 basically is really tiny, and then the M1 Pro adds about 33%, and then the M1 Max is about 4 times the size of an M1, and then the M1 Ultra is taking an M1 Max and binding it to another M1 Max. And they gave a perfect description. If you were to see this chip outside of its encasement, you would swear that it had a backplane that was designed to glue another one onto it, and basically the M1 Ultra is exactly that. It's 2 of them bound together, and it is a beast of capabilities, and I really want to get rid of all of my systems just for that. So the M1 Ultra is available in the newly announced Mac Studio, a device that can simultaneously be seen as a beefed up Mac Mini or a smaller Mac Pro. When it comes to performance, the Mac Studio blows the latter Mac out of the water thanks to the M1 Ultra. Dun, dun, done. And so let's see here. The number of transistors in the M1 is 16 billion. The number in the M1 Ultra is 114 billion. All of them with the 5 nanometer foundry process. I am interested to see where we go from that with that micronization. If anybody's going to succeed in dropping it to 3 nanometers, is probably going to be Apple, delivering it in such a way that I can just, I don't know, carry around an AirTag and it is a Mac Mini in and of itself. So unified memory, it goes up to 128 gigabytes for the M1 Ultra, but only 16 for the M1. So it's an interesting state of affairs that if you only have the M1, you're pretty limited in certain functionality. But that's what it's designed for. It fits the bill for a particular function. So I'm going to stop here with that article. You can go over to Apple Insider or click the link. In fact, oops. Let me post that link there. And finally, the last article is in the mobile channel. And it says, forget mammoths. These researchers are exploring bringing back the extinct Christmas Island rat. Dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago, mammoths 4,000 years ago, and the Christmas Island rat 119 years ago. That's right. Let's bring back the Christmas Island rat. Since becoming a popular concept in the 1990s, de-extinction efforts have focused on grand animals with mythical stature. But in a paper published March 9th in the journal Current Biology, a team of paleogeneticists, if this doesn't lead to an island of dinosaurs, I don't know what is, they turn their attention to Rattus mcclari. And their findings provide insights into limitations of de-extinction across all species. Let's click this link. Are they going to show us the picture of the Christmas Island rat? De-extinction work is defined by what is unknown. When sequencing the genome of an extinct species, scientists face the challenge of working with degraded DNA, which doesn't yield all the genetic information required to reconstruct a full genome of the extinct animal. With the Christmas Island rat, which is believed to have gone extinct because of diseases brought over by European ships, evolutionary geneticist Tom Gilbert at University of Copenhagen and his colleagues lucked out. Not only was the team able to obtain all of the rodent's genome, but since it diverged from the other Rattus species relatively recently, it shares 95% of it. So they're going to bring it back and apparently use CRISPR. And I'm just goofing when I say this, but this is how Rat Boy is made. Anyway, that is the end of today's show. I'm pretty tame today. I took a long time, but I wanted to talk about all of these articles, and I hope you got something out of it. Like every episode, we actually have a web page at the front, ohmTown.com, where when you click on the name of the site, it will refresh and give you a whole new batch of articles as it's ingested by the aggregator at ohmTown.com. And if you are interested in hosting or co-hosting, just let me know. You'll be up there or down here, whichever way you want it, really. We've got 50 shows. I'm open to others. It really depends on the topic and the level of interest. Yeah, it's really the context of it. So if you are interested, just get in touch with me any way you want to. And I want to thank you for coming again. I'll see you tomorrow, 6 p.m.